Jason was an important person in my life. I really adored him. Unbelievably charming, lovely young man. Yeah, full of shit, but you know, no more so than the next guy from what I could tell. And I've always felt that I had just incredible radar for sort of journalistic rectitude. I ran newspapers and thought I could spot a fraud a million miles away. And that guy got over me so totally and completely. It was just so humiliating to me. I don't know how to shut off my new phone, so I'll just go through it. That's probably Jason right now. I'm just Jason's thing, like I went through this with New York Magazine where a friend of mine was writing a story, and it's like, oh, you're the flip side of Jason Blair. And I said, well, how is that? I got 20 years of work that stood the test of time, and I've always sort of looked after this thing of ours. And Jason, on the other hand, lied for fucking practice and got over everyone around us. And I'm loyal to the bone. He, on the other hand, took a piece of rope, wound it around his neck, and then tied it to our feet and jumped off a cliff. How is it that me and him are alike? It's because we're both crackheads? Is that why? I have no fucking clue why he did what he did. And as I told him, if we were ever going to get started again, on a real human level, it'd be me walking up and saying, hi, I'm David Carr. Who the fuck are you? Who are you? What is your deal? Well, I mean, his book was, you know, burning down my master's house. I said, I've seen where you grew up, Jason. It's like a gorgeous split level Washington home. I never really got it. So, like the James Fry book, my brother sent it to me and I read 8 pages, and Hazelden, where he was talking about, I mean, it's got fucking elliptical machines and a staff nutritionist. Nobody's throwing chairs at anybody or doing dentistry without anesthesia, and I just like threw it over my shoulder and said, the hell with that. It's disappointing to me as a culture reporter that I didn't understand the implications of that. Like, it would have been nice to go, hey, part of this is not precisely true. It'll probably be a really, he could end up on Oprah getting his arms and legs ripped off. I didn't make that leap. I just read it as a drunk would and go, you know. The sort of template is, you know, it's in the rooms of recovery. It's there.
The question should be framed. Do you think it was useful for the other people to go back over it? Do you think that other people got something positive from it, or?
I don't think there was a lot of catharsis going around in this book. I mean, the end of the book, my daughter Megan, it was a fairly articulate young woman. I did what all good journalists do in interviews and said, well, is there anything else we should be speaking about? She said, yeah, let's talk about you doing this book. I said, okay, let's talk about me doing this book. She said, well, I really never pictured you doing a book like this. So why is that? And she said, I didn't think you'd find it cathartic. And she's right. I found it from a reporting standpoint, an artistic standpoint, endlessly interesting. But the actual act of writing, it was like I wrote a book about somebody else. That's how I framed it. I said, I want to be fair to this guy. I don't want to cut any corners. I don't want to, but it didn't really feel like me. It feels like me now, and I'm experiencing the other part of it, which is it's sort of out there and rolling around, and now I'm becoming that guy. And so if there is catharsis or misery, it's more now than the sort of writing of it.
How do you feel about other recovering addicts reading your book? Do you think that, I mean, have you heard anything on tour? You've been on tour for a couple of weeks now, haven't you?
Yeah, there was, when it was excerpted in the Times, I got probably about 1,100, 1,200 emails. About half of those were people either seeking recovery or seeking recovery on behalf of people in their lives. And that's been, that's sort of the fundamental gesture of the book, which is if you got your hopeless, your loser, your complete fuck up. And I was way down here, and now I'm here and still sort of nascent, still moving, that's a hopeful message, and one that I think other addicts understand. They don't have a lot of questions about why I used or why I drank. I don't have to go through that with them. I did it because I'm an addict and a drunk. I do have sort of strong feelings about, like I have some people in my life who are fairly new in recovery. I don't think this is a real good book for them. I don't think that it's the right sort of, because it's rolling around in pathology in a way that even if it ends happy, I think it arcs to a sort of pirate within them or the salamander within them. Somebody who's grown up, got their wheels underneath them, who's has their own program of recovery, is not looking for any messages in books. There are taboos and rules being broken in this book. So, you know, the fact that early in the book I mentioned how much fun I was having is, you know, not always a well-received message. Some people like to think that it always stunk, but I mean, why would a rat sit in a cage and push the bar endlessly unless something sort of unthinkably delicious and wonderful came rolling down the tube once? And that's going to make an impression on you. Some people are going to do that and move on. Some people are going to get stuck on that.